Welcome back to Horntie Studios for another episode of 666 Seconds of Murder. That means each one of these videos is less than 666 seconds or 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So let's get started. Got a lot to cover as always in a short amount of time. Talking the Idaho 4 case and something that is rather disturbing to consider. Talking about the 400 witnesses. And what were they witnessing? And we're going to talk about this. Some rumors trying to discuss to see if we can make it make sense. But remember, with all my videos, these are just for informational purposes only. These are just my opinions and speculation. I'm not saying anyone's guilty of anything. Just talking about a case that interests me and it interests you. All right, so since I've been doing this channel, I mean, I've heard the rumors. I mean, we all have. The Fight Club, the tunnels, the idea that the crimes were done at the band field and the bodies moved to the house after the fact. I mean, so many rumors have been swirling around in this case. It's just totally maddening. There are times I really have to think about what's fact and what's fiction. Now, the one rumor that's really bothered me is the idea that the crimes were carried out and live streamed over the internet. I mean, that is absolutely horrifying. I mean, a live snuff film is deeply disturbing to even imagine. I heard many people in the comments bring this up. And I know after I mentioned that film class who was supposedly videotaping the area behind the King Road house, that's when I first started seeing the snuff film rumors. So these rumors surfaced again after my video about the Sigma Chi fraternity boys that I just put out here recently, and namely the issues surrounding Ethan's last Venmo payment only hours before the murders to his fellow frat member, Jack Katovich. And that fact that Jack's sister Liz got a Venmo payment from Molly G with the caption 3:30 a.m., the day before the crimes went down. I mean, what was going on at 3:30 a.m.? And why was a Venmo payment made? Why was Ethan paying Jack on Venmo? I mean, is it possible he was paying for a fight that he didn't realize he was the main event? I mean, my gosh. Jack Katovich was the first person, allegedly, to donate to Ethan's fund in the amount of $6. And I've seen rumors that some have said that that was how much it cost to watch the live stream. Now, if that is true, then Jack Katovich is one sick dude. I mean, allegedly, of course, but my God, that is just cold. Now, I'm just speculating here. But, you know, what if the 400 witnesses that Ann Taylor referenced in the hearing the other day has to do with this live streaming event? I mean, can you even imagine how sick that would be for all those people to pay to watch something like that? Maybe they were just told it wasn't real, or maybe they thought it was just a fight that ended up in a much, much, much worse situation. It could have been a million different things, but the idea of this organized pay-per-view event on King Road is absolutely disturbing. I mean, what else would constitute 400 witnesses? I mean, that's an insane amount of witnesses. In thinking about the options for this, I mean, I can't imagine why there would be that many witnesses, and I began to think about the rumors of the live streaming event. And then it hit me that maybe that's where the 400 people are. I don't know. I mean, we just don't know. But, you know, they would have needed somebody to help them figure out how to, you know, do something like that. And maybe a guy like Brian Kohberger, with his abilities and his cloud-based forensic knowledge, may have been somehow involved in that way. I mean, it's certainly something to wonder, if that's true, of course. Now, let's take that one idea just a step further. I've also had many people in the comments suggest that Brian Kohberger was watching or was working for law enforcement in some capacity. Maybe he got word about the pay-per-view event and was going to figure out who was involved and wanted to pass that information on to Moscow PD. What if there was some of the Moscow finest watching that pay-per-view event? Would the department want something like that to get out? Probably not. And wouldn't that give them a motive to pin these crimes on Brian? I realize that that is a huge stretch, but I'm just throwing up an idea to see what you guys think about it. We know Brian had that specialty, and it seems like it makes some sense to me. It's also possible that he wasn't doing it for the police department, but maybe for himself. I mean, you could even say that it's entirely possible that he wasn't recruited for his knowledge to either set up the pay-per-view event or to do it in a way where the people paying would be anonymous. Again, it's a stretch, but I mean, nothing in this case would surprise me. I honestly can't think of any reason why there would be 400 witnesses in a case like this. One other option could be there were that many people who heard about the crimes early on, at least the ones they were able to document with phone records. Those would be people who possibly have some inside knowledge of who did these crimes. So I guess that's another possibility. Let's just say that Brian Koberg was one of those paying to view the event. Maybe he showed up after it to see if he could help the victims, and that's how his DNA ended at the scene. But maybe he was the voice who said, "I'm here to help," if you are believing that Dylan actually heard somebody say that, but I don't personally believe a thing she says. But I'm putting it out there as a possible explanation. But I really can't see Brian, with his knowledge of crime, putting himself into a scene like that. I just can't imagine it. I've said it from the beginning that I don't know one way or the other about Brian Koberger. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I do think his cloud-based forensics somehow got him involved in this case, either as a contributor to what happened or the way he ended up on law enforcement's radar. And I mentioned that in a video just the other day on the Pullman PD, so go check that out. I also got thinking about that Steve Gonzalez said in the beginning, that thing he said about something gross, I believe was the word he used, that had happened there at the house. And I thought maybe it had something to do with drugs when I first heard that, or maybe something to do with prostitution, because I did hear some rumors that Emma Bailey was involved in that line of work, but I'm not sure. I mean, she was always hanging out there apparently with Dylan. So that's what I thought it was originally, but now I wonder if it could have possibly had something to do with 400 people watching the live stream. I mean, I could see where Steve would think that was gross. I mean, it is horrific to think of something like that. But imagine how awful that would be for the families of the victims. I mean, that would be something beyond our wildest nightmares. It may be unrealistic to think that 400 people would watch something like that and no one would have gone to the police. But then, how do we know that no one went to the police and that they were just blown off because they didn't want to bother with it? It didn't fit their lovesick outcast from Pennsylvania theory. Or did maybe these people witness Brian involved in the crimes on their phones and they are being protected by the gag order? I guess that's possible too. There are so many options with this, and like saying anything related to the Idaho case, it's just messed up. And there are more than 666 rabbit holes to fall into. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, I know it's out there, but I just wanted to mention it because there are some things that make me wonder about this angle. It really does. I hate to think of it. I do want to say thank you, though, to the Horns High Club. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your support. I appreciate everybody that watches these videos. So we'll see you next time on 666 Seconds of Murder.